Dillan.
Yes, sir.
Episode 14.
Oh, boy.
It's going to be an interesting one. For just to kind of pull the curtain back here a little bit, this is partly a test. I need to make sure that everything's working. We got some new equipment in the house. It's going to make the stream a lot better, a lot easier on my side. And also will, kind of make our phone calls sound a lot better. So we were testing that out earlier, and it's quite amazing.
It really is.
I know it's like a huge improvement from where we were.
And it'll hopefully make everybody else's involvement better as well.
Right. So we're going back from Be Live. I know we talked about that last time. Sorry, guys. But I hate freaking Be Live. We can't do it. So we're going back to the old way of doing things, Dylan.
Yes, sir.
This episode, we do have a topic that we're talking about, and we're going to be diving into the Black Dahlia. Dylan's going to be telling us a little bit about that today.
Yes, I will. We do have our call-in number, 706-237-8230, if anyone has any questions, thoughts, concerns, or if you just want to speak your piece about the Black Dahlia or anything else.
Right. And I'm going to be trying to monitor the chat on this side. We're going to see if we can get that thing up and working. You know how it goes. Either way, I'll be monitoring it. So if you want to drop in, say hi, we'll try to acknowledge everybody that says something to us today.
Yes. Before we get into the subject, it's been a kind of crazy week. And getting all this stuff in, and Black Friday and Thanksgiving and Cyber Monday, it's been a really crazy time getting prepared for those last 20-something days until Christmas.
Dude, it's crazy to think about that, right? What is it, like 22 days or something?
Yeah, it's 23. It's wild that we're already that close to Christmas. It seems like just a couple days ago we were hearing about COVID for the first time, and now here we are a year later, a full calendar year later, and vaccines are rolling out.
Yeah, there's like 2 of them, right?
Yes, there's competing vaccines, and England, I believe, is the first country to allow the vaccine to begin being used. So,
are you taking it, Dylan?
I'll give the same response Joe Rogan gave. If I see evidence that it actually works, and once I hear other people's horror stories, I'll take it.
Right. Fair enough. I don't know. We'll see.
I
won't be the first one to take it. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Do we want to wait for more people to filter in, or do you want me to go ahead and start?
We can go ahead and start. It looks like we've got some people jumping in already. There's looks like I got 7 viewers already. Kristen Lee drops in. Good to see your faces. It's good to see you, Kristen. I was hoping it was going to be in person this week, but you know how shit happens.
Yes. Once again, 706-237-8230 is the call-in number if anyone's interested. With that, let's dive right into the subject of today's show. Ladies and gentlemen, the Black Dahlia murder. So, to set the scene for you, it's Los Angeles, 1945. Elizabeth Short moves to Los Angeles. Like many, she's an aspiring actress. By 1947, the 22-year-old waitress was killed. January 15th, 1947, the Black Dahlia was found dead after being missing for almost a week. The body was found in an abandoned lot, medically cut in half. Hundreds of false leads and suspects leave this case cold and unsolved even today. So, first things first, with just that little bit of detail that I gave you. Elizabeth Short, obviously she was born and grew up in Depression era. She decided, like so many others, that she wanted to move to Hollywood and become an actress. Landon, you and I have both aspired to, kind of be... I know, we're already bullshitting the audience 2 seconds in. But no, we've aspired to do some good with our voices, and I guess our faces are included too. But we're not that different from Elizabeth Short.
Oh, you think so?
Well, no, I don't. I think that we're a lot like her in the sense that we're 2 young people who are just trying to get something started for ourselves. An interesting key in the case is that notice when I described the body being found, it was medically cut in half.
Well, now, was it just cut into A couple pieces, or are we talking about like complete dismantling of the
Um,
body?
so not like pieces, like torso was separated from legs.
And why would like why? Why?
So there's a little bit on that later,
Okay.
but there are people who believe that the body was posed, like in a pose.
Oh.
Yes. So the killer taunted police and the killer taunted police in letters and even sent them Elizabeth Short's personal pocketbook. Still, the case was unsolved and untouched for the next 58 years. The case was reevaluated in the 2000s when a new suspect arose, Dr. George Hodel. On January 14th, 1947, a car like Hodel's was spotted in the spot that Miss Short was found at. In 1999, Dr. George Hodel died. His son Steve was given an album of photos. Within the album were photos of what Steve suspected was Elizabeth Short. So now, to explain who Steve Hodel is, Steve Hodel is the son of this eccentric, very wealthy doctor, very well known doctor, who we'll learn later did have ties to Elizabeth Short. His father passed away. He never knew about any of this.
How old was he when his father passed away? Do you know?
No, how deep do you think my research goes? Like I said
I
before,
mean,
we
did
went
he
on the
die
air.
like before he actually like really knew him, or
No,
I
no,
mean,
no.
he
He was an
grew up
older.
as like
Yeah, I mean, he was an older man
oh gosh,
by the time his father
okay,
died.
so he was in it, part of his life then for sure.
A pretty large part. As a matter of fact, he and Steve and George got along very well, which can't be said for all of Steve's siblings, as we'll get into later. So Steve was given this album. It was just a small little picture book album, and he was given this album by his father's wife of the time, widow. And he was looking at these pictures, and he came across two pictures of a woman with dark hair, a very pretty woman, and he asked who this woman was. And the mother had said, "I don't know. It's someone that your father must have known." Steve details that he doesn't know why, but for some reason he knew that that was Elizabeth Short. There will be more on that later.
Now these are photos of her alive.
Yes,
Okay.
that I should be able to do fine. So Steve Hodel decided to personally investigate his father's connection to the Dahlia, and we go back to 1949. In 1949, while George Hodel was on trial for basically pimping and sexually assaulting his own 14-year-old daughter, there was a tip off that he did know Elizabeth Short. So this kind of detail is something that people don't really talk about when discussing the Black Dahlia, but I think it's important because the importance of it is we know that George Hodel was an evil man. So I talk about George Hodel being a rich, eccentric kind of person, and a lot of you guys are like, well, what's a rich, eccentric person? He was able to build his own home on Franklin Avenue that had like a fucking waterfall, and it had a hidden room. There was a hidden room behind a bookshelf. Like,
Dude, that's when you know you've reached like a certain gangster level when you start having hidden rooms in your house. I want that.
so this is where I'll get into the posing and all of that as well. So George Hodel had connections with a lot of famous Hollywood actors and famous Hollywood picture takers and painters. And one of his friends was a very famous painter. His last name was Mann. I can tell you that. I don't remember his first name.
Right.
One of his paintings seems to be in the same position that the body was posed in.
Oh, really?
Yes. Steve Hodel, when he talked about this detail, he said that his father always wanted to be more like these guys. He always wanted to be more like an actor. He always wanted to be more like one of these famous painters or photographers, and his house was always open to them. Evidently, his daughter was also open to them. So George Hiddell had assaulted his own daughter, but he also wasn't against the idea of these Hollywood elites at the time of also partaking. And the daughter ran away, and there was later the lawsuit, which is the trial that we are talking about, where the tip was given. So once again, later when Steve was doing the investigation, he recognized his father's writing in one of the taunting letters sent to police. Like I said, whoever committed the Dahlia murder, this person was bold. They were sending letters to the police, much like a Jack the Ripper. They also sent in her personal effects, her pocketbook. These criminals are very bold types of people. For anyone listening, if you're interested in getting in on the conversation, once again, 706-237-8230 is the call-in number. That's 706-237-8230.
Now, he's like taunting them, right? Like, I mean, is that partially just because like back in the day you could probably get away with something like that? But now with technology, do you see like these murderers, serial killers, whatever, doing that type of crap nowadays with the
Yes.
technology that we have? Is that still a thing?
It still happens with this would be a great future episode we could dig into, and I don't know how we would even begin to do it. But if I could put together a show on how the FBI has their profiling system, it would be a really good show because there's a lot of really interesting shit to learn. There are killers who still do these things, who still send in personal effects, who still send letters to the police, letters to newspapers. It's less common now, but those are the kinds of people that are normally really intelligent people.
Right. I was about to say you really have to know what you're doing to get away with something like that.
Yes,
in today's world.
and that's where I mentioned the FBI's profiling system, which wasn't created until like the 80s. I'll go in a little bit on that just because it doesn't seem like much is happening, and we can use all the time anyway. But basically, it started with 3 people who went around interviewing different serial killers who were in prison. Among them were Ed Kemper. Ed Kemper was he killed like college students. He did it because he hated his own mother. He had also killed his mother and done some pretty brutal things to her body. He is a serial killer that's still alive, has been allowed to get out, and refuses because he says he will kill again. He doesn't trust himself. He's also known to be a serial killer with one of the highest IQs.
Yeah, wasn't there's a Netflix show about this?
Mindhunter.
Yeah, that's
Mindhunter.
it.
Fantastic show. If you haven't watched it, you definitely should. There's a lot of great acting in there, and to me, even above the acting, the casting in this fucking movie or show is just stellar. They also did interviews with Son of Sam, Ted Bundy, Charles Manson. And basically, what the criminal profilers did was they asked these killers why they did what they did. What was the buildup? What happened to you when you were a kid? If we let you out right now, what would you do first? And they were able to build a profile of why certain people kill. And there are a lot of fascinating things that they learned. Like, people who use knives are completely different personalities than people that use guns. People who use sniper rifles and long range weapons have a god complex. Just a lot of crazy information that you're thinking in your head, well, everybody's different. But these people were able to prove that while everybody's different, it lines up.
Wow, that's interesting, dude.
Like I said, I don't know how I would do a show on there. I would love to. I just don't know how I would do it.
Yeah, because that could go really freaking deep.
And there again, it's one of those things where, like, I don't know. I don't have someone who I know personally that's an FBI you know, someone who does that profiler. So I can't just call up an FBI profiler and go, wing, 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 hello, I need you to come on my show. Like, I don't know how we would do that.
I'll call somebody up. I'll find somebody.
But there's a lot of cool clips on YouTube where you can see FBI profilers even today. Like, people will hand them cases they've never seen before, and the FBI profiler will basically be able to solve the crime without giving you a name. Like, they can pinpoint it that well. And this was the reason that this was created, this subsection of the FBI was created, is because there were a lot of serial killers, and they wanted to be able to basically catch these kind of behaviors before they blow up in a killing spree.
Right, because they're just trying to be one step ahead of the serial killer. So if
Precisely.
they know like where they're going to go next, they can be ahead of it. Right. I guess that makes sense.
Precisely. It's all really deep and it's all really fascinating.
I can only imagine how much taxpayer money went into trying to come up with that program.
Well, I mean, like I said, the original program was 3 people in the basement of the building. That was all they were allotted. And as they started throughout the 80s to really get on a fast track, they were able to expand. And pretty much all of the original members have written books. They've written books together. They've written books as individuals. But they're all titled like "Inside the Mind of a Killer," FBI, just shit like that. But it's really neat. Once again, to anyone who's interested in being a part of this conversation or any other conversation, 706-237-8230. That is 706-237-8230 is the call-in number. Ring us up and talk to me and Landon. But I guess I'll continue on with the case here. So the case was kind of reopened at this juncture in the mid-2000s. And when Steve was going through evidence, he saw a picture of his father as one of the suspects. The DA's file was all that Steve needed to prove to himself that it was his father. That was all he needed. So once again, I'm sorry we have to go back and forth in kind of timelines, but there's really no other way for it to make sense. So going back to 1950, the police did something that you can't do today. They went in illegally, well, at the time it was legally, and they bugged George Hadel's house.
They can do it if they want to.
I think you would normally need a warrant or like the FBI's involvement, though. Now, back in the day, you didn't need that shit. The bugging would persist for 40 days. Within the DA's file were transcripts of everything that George was caught saying. The audio files have been, they disappeared. More on evidence disappearing later. George Hodel was caught on tape saying, "Suppose I killed the Dahlia, they'd never be able to prove it and interview my secretary." Ruth Spalding was his secretary. She had died not too long before of what they called an overdose.
Oh, snap, dude. So he killed his secretary.
We don't know. We can't. Allegedly.
I know he did.
You have to say allegedly. You're not allowed to make statements like that. We can't say that he did or didn't. But that's where the audience gets to decide what they feel. Hodel was also caught on tape talking about paying off the DA and the LAPD. Shortly after this discussion, the LAPD and DA stopped the investigation of Hodel.
Mm-hmm.
So, once again, revisiting the point, this is a rich man, very powerful, everybody knows him, has the resources to pay off a very dirty LAPD and a very dirty DA at the time. Remember, the system was more corrupt at this time period than probably any other time period since. Landon, what are your thoughts on that?
On police corruption?
Yeah.
Police are always corrupt.
But do you think that police were more corrupt in the 1940s and 50s than they are now, or do you think it's probably still about the same?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think that they could have got away with a lot more back then than they can now. But the ones that do it now have to just be more precise and more careful. There,
I I think
what they do.
the reason that it's a tough one is because my assumption is there's more police than there were back then.
Right.
So while entire precincts might not be dirty like they were back then, there's still probably a lot of people that are dirty.
Oh yeah.
Um, but with that,
But with
when
anything, dude, there's loopholes everywhere. So
of
if
course,
you find the loophole, you can get away with anything.
of course, and that goes back into the whole mafia thing. Like the United States government believes that the mafia has been done since 1993. Like when John Gotti got pinched, everything just shut down. Like they have had like their system is in place, so if something like that happens, someone immediately replaces him. It's like fucking Al Qaeda in America. And but because John Gotti was pinched,
They say it's done with.
it's over. And I mean, maybe that has something to do with the Cuomo's. Oh, cough, cough. Oh, fuck. Now they're gonna. Sorry, Landon. We're gonna get whacked. Oh god. I'm waiting for just a mobster to call up. That's gonna be the next phoner in.
I've been asking for a drunk, and I'm gonna get a mobster instead. All I want is a drunk to call in, be a regular on the show.
So.
I'll deal with a mobster too, man.
Oh yeah, it'll be great.
I want to go like BTS style and hang out with a mobster for a day.
I feel like that'd be fucking horrifying.
I don't know. I would feel like a god. I think.
I mean, but like they're not gonna show you or tell you anything, to.
Yeah, we can go out, just push a few people around. Be fun.
I don't know what the rules are. But
You do whatever you want. You're the mom.
so to continue on, a lot of the other suspects were ruled out because it's been decided that a surgeon had to have done the killing and dismemberment. Hodel once again excelled as a surgeon. So Hodel was a doctor; he wasn't a surgeon. But in college, he took the class. He excelled in it. Everybody talks about how good he was as a surgeon. So he has the knowledge. He has hidden rooms. He has the money to basically get away with anything. We're starting to see why maybe people think George Hodel did it. So, the handwriting that I brought up earlier, how he would send letters and what really got Steve on this path, it's been looked at by several handwriting specialists. The handwriting is inconclusive. They cannot confirm or deny that it is or isn't George Hodel. The photos of Elizabeth Short in the album have also been looked at by people who do the facial reconstruction.
Right.
Those photos were also not. No, those photos were not Elizabeth Short.
Okay, not her. Okay.
We don't know who they are, but we know due to these fine details, it's not Elizabeth Short.
Fair enough.
Once again, as I said earlier, Steve Hodel does believe his father, George, posed the body. While nobody knows, Steve still believes his father was the killer. So even though he's been told by countless people, the handwriting is inconclusive, even though he's been told by people, these photos are not of Elizabeth Short, he still believes that his father did it.
Yeah, and he's like going on like news programs and radio shows and everything, talking about like my father killed this woman.
He's published books. He's been on First 48. He's been on Court TV, whatever the fuck that is. This is a guy who has spent the better half of his later life talking about how he believes his father committed these crimes. Here's what's really fucking crazy about it. You would think, oh, well, Steve just hates his dad. Steve talks about how he loves his dad and wishes that he never found all this information.
Right, and that's why I was asking if he knew his dad growing up, because
Yes.
I feel like it would be a lot easier to just kind of throw your dad under the bus saying that he was the one who murdered this woman than, if you
Listen,
didn't like him or didn't know him.
his dad didn't die until Steve was at least in his 40s. At
Wow.
least. Like I said, rewatching a lot of this shit and looking up on it, this man was not a young man when his father died. His father died at an old age as well, I think probably late 90s.
Right.
But there is somebody who does also agree and believe Steve.
Who?
The DA at the time, meaning 2005-ish, the DA in California believes Steve, that George Hodel was the killer. So
now
the LA. Okay,
I'm gonna have to step away for just a second. I'll be right back.
Oh, okay, you're good. This is a perfect time, everyone, for me to talk about. I'm not going to move on any further, so we're going to wait for Landon to get back. I only have a little bit more on this subject anyway. This is a great time for me to just thank everyone for tuning in. This is a great time for me to talk about how happy myself and Landon are to be here on this new network and to make new friends and to hopefully be able to talk to new people. Once again, the number to call in if you're interested, I'll read it twice slowly so you can get ready if you're interested. 706-237-8230. That's 706-237-8230. If you're interested in calling in and talking about the Black Dahlia or talking about the FBI or talking just to me and Landon, please call into that number and we'll be sure to have a discussion with you. I know that a lot of you guys probably think myself and Landon, we don't come from these kinds of backgrounds of doing these kinds of shows, and you'd be right. Myself and Landon, all we've really known is the paranormal. But these are the types of shows that we would probably rather do, and we're happy to be here with all of you and on the new network. So
Dude,
thank you.
I want to know why it is like this only happens to me like once a year, and I live for the moments when these missionaries come knocking on my door, and we could sit down and have a nice long conversation. And of course, I would be on the freaking air when it happens this time.
You should have brought him in.
Like, hey, we're live on air right now. We've got 5,000 viewers who are watching this.
Yeah, inflate the numbers, Landon. Inflate the numbers. We need it.
Hey, we're at 3.
Nice. I wonder how many people clicked off during my soliloquy of thank you. By the way, I would like to point out that I told you we would get 30 minutes out of my research. We have gotten currently 29 minutes, and I have one more paragraph to read.
Right. And I'm still not done. I'm sure I got some more questions here. But
yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, but I'd like to point out this is how good I am at being able to look at the paper and tell how long it'll go.
Right.
So this is the last little blurb here. The LAPD had 22 main suspects out of hundreds of possible suspects. 7 of these suspects were doctors. All physical evidence from the case has gone missing from the files since the year 1949. This case will stay unclosed, and this case will stay cold.
Do you think his dad did it?
I don't think there's enough evidence to say yay or nay.
Well, that's the thing. Whether the son thinks his dad did it or not, like that is what it is. But the amount of evidence you have to prove somebody guilty is different from just knowing your father and knowing that was probably legit. That's not enough evidence.
I'll say
look him up.
I'll say that some of the things he said on tape were definitely damning. But I think of things that people say around their homes when they think that they're secure and safe. And, I mean, if the Black Dahlia murder had just happened, like, you're in Los Angeles, the Black Dahlia murder just happened, everyone's talking about it. it's kind of like the OJ thing where everybody's in their personal house talking about it and giving their opinions. And even OJ's famous book, If I Did It, like,
what an idiot.
But I mean, he was already acquitted, so he couldn't be retried, and we still don't know if OJ did or didn't do it. He claims the book comes from a place of fiction, whatever. That's not the discussion that I'm trying to have here. It's how many people sit around their house and say, well, if I killed this person, I would have done it this way instead of them doing it this way. That's why they got caught. Like, how many people do that?
And I've done it before, watching some like unsolved mysteries.
I mean,
or something like that.
It's a crazy kind of comparison, but it's like when you're watching Family Feud, and the question is, name an animal with 3 letters in its name, and the guy says alligator, which did happen. By the way, I'm not making this up.
Oh my God.
You're sitting in your house thinking cat, dog, past those 2, I don't know, pig, ant. Yeah, like you're but you're like, alligator doesn't come to my mind at all.
Right.
In that way, I kind of defend Dr. George Hodel. To me, the thing that's more damning with the wiretap is that he talked about paying off the LAPD and the DA, and then they closed the case on him. That, to me, is more damning, but once again, it's not enough evidence to do anything.
To get a guilty
verdict. There's definitely a lot of things about the guy that are fucking weird. Listen, is it extremely weird you have a hidden room in your house? Yes. Is it extremely weird that you sexually assault your daughter, allow your friends to sexually assault your daughter, and then get off of that trial as well, allegedly because of who you know, who's on the jury? Very suspicious. Actually, that court case did not take very long, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, it did not take long at all.
Go figure, man. You got the money. You can just.
I can't recall. I can't recall how long they said deliberation was, but I don't think it was longer than an hour.
Yeah, well, I mean, don't you own I'm not a huge legal person with a lot of legal knowledge or whatever, but doesn't only one person have to not agree for it to kind of be like a hung jury or thrown out or whatever?
Yes. So every juror has to agree that you're guilty for you to be
guilty. Yeah.
All
he's really got to do is pay off one person.
Yes. If one person says no, it's a hung jury. And
which, knowing him, is probably smart, so I'm sure he got at least a couple of them in case one fell
Well,
through.
and that's the thing that kind of ties into do you realize how cool it would be to talk to a FBI profiler and sit them down and give them the details of the Black Dahlia case and just say, do you think? Because to my knowledge, I'm sure that there are FBI profilers who have looked at the evidence and who have, but I think that'd be kind of fucking cool.
Right.
But there again, I don't have the police files and I don't have all that evidence. I have just what the media of the time and now tells us. I have just what Steve Hodel has told us. And that's about it. So, listen, I can't say that the guy was guilty. I can't say he's innocent. I think that there's a lot of evidence that connects him to the case. Obviously, the tip that during the trial where someone said that they know for a fact that George Hodel knew Elizabeth Short, maybe that was all bullshit. We do know for a fact Elizabeth Short hung around with the same crowd as George Hodel. We do know for a fact that she while a lot of people in the history books think that this lady was loaded, she lived in an apartment with 6 other girls where they all paid $1 for rent. That's how she survived. She didn't have. Different sources say different things. Mm-hmm. I've always thought and read that she was a waitress. Other people say she was unemployed and she would do what they called at the time date for dinner, which was
they still do that.
Well, but it was common. To explain what that is, though, it was common at the time for women in the in Hollywood to go out with these rich men just so they could be fed for the day.
Right.
Because they didn't have their own money to like feed themselves. Elizabeth Short was one of those women. I feel like I would do a disservice to the memory of Miss Short if I didn't talk about the fact that everyone who knew her says that she was the nicest human being. And a lot of these writers and authors and media outlets and documentary makers don't really hone in the fact that this was a 22-year-old girl that moved from a small town to Los Angeles, wanted to follow her dreams, and supposedly she was a really, really sweet woman. One of the people who talk about how sweet she was the lady who Elizabeth Short used to babysit. She talks about just how pleasant Miss Short was. No one really gets that point across much, so I wanted to here.
How sucky does it have to be to get murdered and then like really the only focus about it is about the killer and naming you a name that's not your name?
Yeah,
and like, you being known for the, you know what I mean? Like,
and that's actually the thing that the lady who she used to babysit talked about is like the media portrayed her as a whore.
Yeah.
The media portrayed her as a whore, and she wasn't a whore. She was a very nice lady. She was in a bad place, trying to start a life. How many actors do you know at 22 that are in leading roles? You have a slow start, and her slow start was stolen from her. And the Black Dahlia, like the, you can on the street, if I were to ask random people, do you know about the Black Dahlia murder? Either they're going to say, one, I've never heard of it, two, oh, I've heard of it. And then if I follow up to those people, do you know what the Black Dahlia's name was? They're going to say, oh, I assume it's Dahlia. Like, she's been forgotten.
Right.
And it's a shitty fucking thing. I mean, to be killed that brutally is just fucking insane.
Be chopped up.
To be not chopped up, to be cut in half. There weren't like bits and pieces. She was cut in half and placed in an abandoned lot.
I want to know what the purpose of chopping her in half was.
Nobody knows.
There's got to be a reason.
Nobody knows. I mean, that's one of those things. It dies with the case. That's just as cold as anything else. And if you look at Hollywood and Los Angeles and California as a whole, California they have a big population, so there's a lot of killers that get away free. Someone I guarantee you we'll talk about in the future, the Zodiac Killer. That's a fucking fascinating story. The Golden State Killer, only just recently in like 2018 and 19, was brought to justice. This man was killing people in the 50s.
Right.
He wasn't brought to justice until all this time later because he used one of those sites that tell you like what your lineage is.
Yeah, the DNA thing.
Yeah,
it's like ancestry DNAs.
Yeah, he used like Ancestry or whatever, and they saw his DNA matched DNA that was found during the crime in 1950. But you know what the other thing is? The Golden State Killer evidence didn't all disappear. There was still physical fucking evidence left, so we could do tests.
That's crazy. Sean Cohen jumping in the chat. What's up, Sean? Saying hey to both of us. Dillan, you just froze, brother. I don't know if you can still hear me. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, you just froze up on me.
Okay. I was just saying hey to Sean. Sean jumped in, said hello. What's up, guys? Yeah, that's a crazy story, dude. I haven't really drove much into the serial killers and stuff like that, but I think it'd be cool to do a few of these.
Yeah, I think that
Damn, kid A.
I mean, I wouldn't know if you guys would want me to do them in like we'll do the next show something different.
Right,
you guys
We'll just throw them in here and there.
Like, yeah, I don't know if they would want us to do the shows kind of like in a season type base where we have the first season talking about this subject and the second. But however we decide to do it, I think that there's a lot of cool stuff to talk about. There's a lot of cool history stuff that I like to talk about. And this show's definitely an oddity show. And myself and Landon had long discussions about this. But I think after doing the first episode, I think it worked pretty well.
Yeah, no, I think this is the route to go. It's pretty cool because we're gonna learn about different things that maybe we've never even heard of. Now, the Black Dahlia case is it's a pretty well known one, but I mean, we're gonna start diving into things that are people don't really know about. Like
I think
that's what's gonna be cool about it.
Yeah, I think that the way that this will probably go is that the episodes where I dive into things, there'll probably be more well-known things that people just don't know the details of. And the things that you do will probably be those deep, dark kind of corners of the fucking earth.
Oh yeah.
So I think that'll be a cool thing because with my shows, we'll have that name value of, hey, we're going to discuss the John F. Kennedy assassination. Right. And with your shows, it's, hey, we're going to discuss Project Sunshine.
Right.
So.
Or Operation Starfish Prime.
Yeah, we're going to talk about MI6 and MK Ultra.
Yeah, all of it,
dude. But it's funny because just so everyone understands how long should I give away because now that we're kind of done, I guess I can talk about like the research for this show.
Yeah, at this point, we are done with the Black Dahlia case, so this is where in moving forward, we're going to dive into just kind of talking about pretty much anything. This is open table, so at this point, if you want to bring up any other topic, anything, you can call the numbers right there on the screen, 706-237-8230. We can talk about anything. Otherwise, we're just going to dive into a bunch of different random stuff that's happened since the last episode. And I know that there's a couple. There's one thing I want to talk about.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that.
So we had this discussion like Saturday or something where we were like, hey, we want to do this. We want to get the first episode under our belt. And you go, well, what would you like to talk about? And I said, listen, Black Dahlia. And you're like, I don't know much about it. I'd love to help you out with research. And I said, you know what? Don't worry about it. I'll do the research and I'll present it like I did some of my older shows back in the day where I just present it and we kind of have that roundtable discussion. And you go, well, when do you want to do it? And I said, we'll do it tonight. And we didn't get around to doing it that night.
I did set up like events and everything for it, but we had some technical difficulties.
Yeah, that's what we'll call it.
Some other things like that. So it just didn't happen. But.
So I texted you an hour after we got off the call. I said, hey, I'm done with the research. I'm ready. And you're like, no fucking way. And I said, yeah, it's 6 pages. We'll have about 30 minutes of content. And like, Landon goes, there's no way you did that. And I was like, listen, I used to have to work on the fly. I can look at this booklet and tell you how long it'll take. I can look at this booklet and tell you when we're gonna stop, because I leave spaces for conversation.
Right.
Like my handwriting is it's really good at some points and atrocious at others, and I leave spaces where I know I'm going to want to discuss something on the side. That just helps me because I'm a fucking lunatic. But what was really funny about it was you had no idea what my research was going to be about, and you said, well, why don't we bring on a guest? There's this guy named, or you said, why don't we bring on a guest? He claims his dad did it. And I said, Landon, do you happen to know the guy's name? And he said, yeah, his name's Steve Hodel. I said, Landon, he's who this research is based off of. If we can get him, it'll be great. And unfortunately, he didn't get back to us.
Yeah, I reached out to him. I mean, dude, there's nobody that I won't send an email to be like, hey, you want to come on this shitty podcast and talk about this or that? Yeah. Send him a message. He didn't read it.
So
he may get back to me and be like, yeah, let's do it. And then,
fuck, we'll have him on.
Yeah, we'll just interview him.
Yeah, because at that point, it's an interview. And I mean, we get, at that point, the audience knows about it. You know about it. I know about it. We can just interview him and people can ask questions.
Right.
So the other thing about how interesting the dynamic of this is like you said, normally you would do research. Definitely if you give me the topic, I'm going to do research on it too.
Right.
Because I don't like going into anything fucking blind.
Right.
I don't. So see,
and I did. I
I
watched a few YouTube videos and different things like. That's how I kind of found out about that Steve guy.
Yeah. So I'm telling you right now, if you go forward and don't tell me the subject ahead of time, I'm gonna be pissed off. Because I can't go in blind to doing a show. Because like I'm a much better interviewer and storyteller than I am the person being interviewed.
Yeah.
So if you stop and say, Dylan, how do you feel about this? It's like my first year of podcasting, and I'm just gonna stay like, I don't fucking know. What'd you just say? Like I'm not even.
Well, I mean, I can't like advertise the show if you don't know. So you're gonna know the topic.
But, yeah.
But yeah, we'll just because there's gonna be things we talk about that we both know, and we both know a lot of, or a lot about. So
Kennedy's gonna be a good one.
These random one-off ones, like especially these different government programs, those are the ones that are a little bit more difficult because, for one, a lot of the information's probably not available. You know what I mean? Or it's blacklisted where you can't read any of it. Things like that. There's a lot of stuff that they don't want to. They don't want you to know about.
As someone who's done research for a long time, I found the hardest things to do. Alien stories are the fucking easiest. Everybody talks about aliens like crazy. Ghosts are easy. The hardest things to do are the conspiracy theories that have validity behind them. So, like, what I mean by that is when we get into the Kennedy assassination, and I bring up Joseph Miltier, who no one's ever heard of before, there's a lot of validity to that. But when I did a show years ago on the Philadelphia experiment, there's no validity to it, but information's falling from the fucking rafters.
Right.
Like, it's all bullshit. It's all just a big hoax.
We let's jump in here real quick, shout some people out in chat. Aaron Shriver jumps in. He was saying that he liked Project Sunshine. So that's definitely one we're going to have to do, Project Sunshine. Taylor jumps in. Dude, this case is so interesting, but it's also really twisted. Yeah, it's kind of jacked up. Reminds me of that Dexter show or something. I don't know. And then also somebody jumped in on the Afterlife Network. I'm going to assume that it's probably Eddie, but I don't know. And he said, "What's up, Road Podcaster?" Yes, I got the Road Podcaster. Boom, boom. There you go, people.
So once again, if anyone, I know a lot of you guys were interested in the case. Like we said, the second part of the show is just going to be us kind of bullshitting. But if anyone's interested in calling in, we'll happily switch gears immediately and go back to that. If
I want to have somebody call in so we can show that this works. I want to make sure everything works Gucci.
I know the number's on your screen, but I've been reading it. So 706-237-8230. You can call in. And guys, we'll talk about anything, not just the Black Dahlia. But of course, you can mention that at any time or talk about it or give your piece. Maybe you think George Hodel did do it. Maybe you know more about it than I've researched, and you can tell me a whole other fucking thing to look into. Or if you guys have recommendations for things to do in the future, myself and Landon really aren't we don't have like a schedule where we're planning out like what we're doing. We kind of just get together and say, hey, this sounds good for this week. I know there are certain episodes I know I'm going to touch, like Kennedy's happening. Yeah. That's going to be a big one. But I want to save that for when people kind of watch a little bit more, because I think that's one that I have an interesting theory on that's kind of my own, that is sort of not my own. It'll make more sense when we get to it, but I'm so ready for the discussions to happen.
Right. We do have a caller. Let's go ahead and take this. Caller, you're on the air.
It'll make more sense when we get
thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Eddie Hill, ladies and gentlemen.
I was about to say, there you go. There's Eddie Hill for you.
Damn it, you too new.
Sorry, dude, you can't hide that voice.
Eddie, can you turn down the show in the background? Jesus.
Okay, let me try this right here. How's that?
I can still hear you.
We can still hear, but it's fine.
It's not that big a deal. What's going on, man?
Sitting here at work, making people's day. slowing down their drive home, that kind of a deal.
Eddie, you and I have not talked in a long time. How are you doing?
Doing good, brother. I almost called you yesterday, and then I got busy again.
You're all right. You're all right. So, for those of you who don't know, I used to kind of represent Eddie's show.
No, he still
This
does
is-
in a way.
You don't know. I used to. What'd you say, Eddie?
I said you still represent it.
Well, I haven't been on in a long time, but you know the door's always open. I'm always willing to.
Heck
to
yeah,
do the
man.
show.
Yeah, other than that, man, it's been going good. Just been working hard. And yeah, it's just been super crazy at the house. And I'm in the middle right now, as well as I'm building a stable in the back for the horse, for old Papa. And so trying to get him squared away. So I've been doing a lot of land clearing and cutting trees out with a chainsaw. I felt like I was, Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre this last weekend.
Did we lose?
I should be getting done with it pretty quick.
Oh, okay. Well,
You have a horse now?
Yeah, I got a horse.
I can totally see Eddie riding around on a freaking horse.
Here's the thing: is I think Eddie's.
Hey, Papa is super cool, man. He's a 15-year-old Kentucky thoroughbred.
Wow.
And he's a retired racehorse. He retired back in 2016 from the track. He's got 8 wins under his belt, and he is now enjoying the good life. And I'm trying to keep him calmed down enough to ride, because when you get on him, he's constantly wanting to go, and you're constantly having to tell him no, and circle him, put him in circles, put him in circles, put him in circles, because he won't sit still. And on the road, he walks okay, does great. The minute he hits grass, he stretches that neck out, and you're fixing to go for a ride. I mean, he's hard to stop once he gets moving.
You know, Eddie, I have to ask you. Obviously, with the old show, I couldn't do this kind of show. I couldn't do a murder theory. What'd you think? I don't know how long you've been in here watching, but what'd you think of it? Did I do decent?
I just popped in, seriously. When Brandon said that I said hello, Procaster, I just popped in and I saw him on there, and I couldn't resist.
Yeah, no, Eddie was part of the one that suggested I get this new mixer here, and it's freaking awesome, dude. First time using it, so
I love the shit out of it. I think it's great. I use that thing religiously. It's great to be able to put sound files in those banks. Phone calls come in great. Never had an issue. You can Bluetooth your phone calls in. You can connect directly. So technically, you could actually have 2 different lines going into your computer.
right.
And if you get into your general settings, you can actually get in there on your phone call and change the phone call around a little bit to increase the tone and make it sound a little bit better. So it's not so much of a phone call, if you follow me.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot that they've put into this for, it's specifically built for this application, podcasts and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, it's great. I'm wanting Dillan to get one, because I think it would do him well, as also because I mean he's always on the radio and always doing different shows, and I think it'd be great for him as well.
Right.
I'm looking into it. I'm looking into a new mic arm, the new setup. I still have to get more of my wall put up, but once we get that squared away, hopefully I'm not dead.
Dillan needs to do a daily show. He needs to have his own daily show. I think that's what needs to happen.
Well, see, nobody's offered that. Like, I probably would.
You don't have to offer. Do it yourself.
Yeah, but if I thought people would want to sit around and listen to me, you guys both know having audiences that are all against me.
At the end of the day, dude, it will build over time. It'll always build over time.
But
I mean, all you got to do is, make the idea, put it together, make it happen. You build it, they will come.
And I would hope. Eddie, I'd like to be able to give you a plug, so you can go ahead and plug your stuff.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. Yeah, we do a show, Paranormal Analytical, which you can catch on Afterlife Network or on Paranormal Analytical Facebook page as well. We also do another show called Political Analytical, which is kind of a right wing type Republican, more Republican than anything else type show. But we do listen to opinions of others who pop in. So I mean, that's always a plus. But we like to hear the other side as well. Gives us more ammunition. And so, but we do have these shows. Paranormal Analyticals on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Central, and Political Analyticals on Sundays night, 8 p.m. Central. So we have a good time on those shows. We have a blast. We get quite a few people jump on. We did the last show. I don't know if you're aware that we did last show, Landon, on Afterlife Network.
Yeah.
And we had a bunch of people fucking show up. It was great, man. We had a bunch of new faces. Everybody was asking questions. We had a bunch of really nice people that showed up on the channel and were talking to us about starting up their own ghost hunting teams, and we were talking equipment and that kind of a thing. It was a really good show. We had a lot of fun on it.
That's great, dude. That was the whole idea. Was we get all these different people that maybe have never heard of your show, an opportunity to listen to you, and everybody can kind of share fans because we all pretty much like the same thing if we're even talking about this type of stuff.
And
Yeah,
also,
and, we really had a good time. I mean, it was one of those things where it was really good seeing new faces show up and getting new perspectives and new comments. And I mean, our comment section was just blowing up. We had a blast.
and you and I have this kind of, we're kind of brothers. You're the one who got me into all this, and that I'd love to have you on our show at some point, Eddie. Might be a little bit different than your kind of show, and I'd like to have Rick on at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd be happy to jump on, man. We're always willing and able. I'm open to everything, so I have a good old time doing no matter what.
I know, and I know if we don't have that paranormal analytical umbrella on it, that you could fit in as a guest for our show just fine. It's kind of the same. It's kind of the same thing. I'm here giving my research.
What are you researching?
Well, we did this episode on the Black Dahlia. We're planning out some future shows where we're going to talk about some government operations and some different kind of conspiracies. But we're also going to probably dive into some paranormal in the future and some things that edge on the supernatural.
Cool. That sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun, and I like the diversity that you put together on the show. I think that's pretty good. I really like that. I think it's going to grow, and it's going to grow very quickly. So good job on that, guys. Kudos.
Thanks so much, Eddie. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, dude. It was good talking to you, man. Appreciate you calling in.
Cool, man. At least you got to try out your phone system on this thing.
Hell yeah. I know you would help me do it.
Absolutely. You know that. I pushed you into it.
Right. No, it sounds perfect, man. And let me tell you,
take care. Huh?
I was just about to say, the amount of cables that I was able to take off my desk is amazing. So I'm super pumped about
Isn't
this.
That great?
That's amazing.
Isn't that great? It's freaking awesome.
Right. All right, Eddie, man. You have a good day, and we'll talk soon, okay, bud?
Yeah, I got to jump back out in traffic and start playing a little bit. But y'all take care. Have a great show. I think y'all are doing great, and I love the diversity of it and the ability to kind of jump around and do pretty much anything y'all want. That's going to be pretty awesome. Right. But take care, Dillan. You be safe, brother. Take care of yourself. And Landon, we'll holler at you later too, brother. And enjoy your new toy. It's awesome.
All right, dude. Have a good day, man. We'll talk soon.
Later, brother. Bye.
Well, there you go. That was great.
Wow.
Mr. Eddie Hill jumping on. Here's my hope out of that. Maybe during that, 5-10 minutes, somebody didn't get a ticket for speeding.
There's another good takeaway too, that we're all able to work together and have a good time. So
I love Eddie
once again, everybody, I'll give Eddie another plug. That's Paranormal Analytical, 8 Central, and that's on Saturdays, and Political Analytical, 8 Central on Sundays. The Political Analytical is listened to on Political Analytical Facebook page, Paranormal Analytical. You can listen to on the Afterlife Network or the Paranormal Analytical Facebook page. Thank you again so much, Eddie. But Landon, I understand you had some topics you wanted to dive into, and I think we still have time.
Yeah, we need to. Yeah, we can jump on some of these, and then we need to get out of here. I gotta go get my little one. But we talked last week, or whenever the hell it was that we went live. I don't remember. My concept of time is so jacked up with working night shift. But the monolith that was found in Utah, it's kind of went viral, man. It's went everywhere. People have. It didn't take long for a bunch of hikers and whatnot to go out there and try and find it. And what appears to be, when they got to the area where it was supposed to be, is that the entire monolith is gone, and it was replaced with a pyramid, like some small pyramid was sat in its place. So it's interesting, dude. Where did it go? But then, see, so that happened like one day, and then like the very next day, I noticed some different points where it was found, whether it was the same one or a different one. Another one was found in Romania. So I don't know what's going on with this monolith, because at the beginning, like the one that was in Utah, I heard has been there for like 6 years or something like that, and it just happened to get seen, and this went viral. So I don't know, dude. It's kind of weird that they're just like popping up all over. Did somebody just put them all over the world, years and years ago, and people are just now connecting the dots? I don't know. A monolith is gone though. Dillan has a theory that Charles Manson did it or something.
No, my theory is that it's all bullshit. My theory is that these people, that it's all bullshit, and it could be one of these fucking cult people, but it's all bullshit. It's bullshit. And I guarantee you there's going to be connections made to aliens. It's all bullshit. That's my theory. It's all bullshit. I was really hoping when you said we were going to talk about one topic, I was hoping it was the McRib.
Oh yeah, we can definitely go into that. Dylan found today that the McRib is back. Pork prices must be low. I don't know what's going on there.
Well, no, that's actually when they bring it back. When pork prices are low.
Yeah. That's why it's never consistent. It's never like a summer thing or a winter thing. It's just random as hell.
Well, the last time the McRib was introduced was 8 years ago.
No, it's been since then. They had it out last year.
What I'm reading, or what I had read, said this is the first time that the McRib has returned in 8 years.
Jamie, check it.
Yeah,
check it, Jamie.
JV, check it. That's a Joe Rogan reference for those of you who
I don't believe that. I really don't believe that, because I'm pretty sure I saw.
Like I said, that's what I read. Maybe I'm wrong. Like I said, today was the first time I've ever had a McRib. I had a McRib today. I heard about it. My friends were talking about it and how great it was, and I said, you know what, I better get on this train and try the McRib, and wasn't terrible. Definitely not what you would expect from McDonald's, but I mean, it's still McDonald's, But yeah,
it says it was released October 7th in 2019, so it's been around. It's been around.
Okay,
usually about once a year.
Yeah, I wonder if the reason that they talked about it being 8 years is that is it now like going to be a short permanent fixture?
No, like it probably that may be like the location you were at, because they don't always come out in every location every year. So maybe it was where you're in the area you're at. It hasn't been there.
I don't know. I'm not a fast food expert.
Eddie
even
says
the way
that he had a bunch of them last year, but he lives in Texas.
Yeah, that's Christ. You're going to McDonald's for barbecue food, Eddie?
I was just about to say that.
Texas is the home of barbecue, and you go to fucking McDonald's. Jesus Christ! And I guarantee you, he's gonna type back, "Well, that shit's expensive, brother." I love that I can still bust his balls. But I guess
So anyway, the whole point of getting on that was that you tried your very first McRib. You've never had a McRib.
Yeah.
This was back when I ate McDonald's. This was like my favorite thing that they ever had.
And they took it away from you like Taco Bell took away the taco pizza.
Yeah, but see, there's a difference because you go into the McRib knowing that it's only a one-time thing, right? You know that it's very limited, and when McRib comes out, you get two a day. Every day on your way home, you pull in, you buy the one, you get one for an extra one for $1 typically. So you're gonna get two. You pound two McRibs, you go home, feel shitty about yourself, and you do the same thing the next day. And then for 30 days or so, you're the happiest mole in a mole pit. But then after the 30 days, you know you have to wait a year. At this point, Taco Bell has shoved a spear in my heart, knowing that I'll never ever be able to have this Mexican pizza again. I'll never be able to have it again.
And this is the second time they broke your heart. They broke your heart back in the day with Choco Tacos.
Choco Tacos, man. That was my They ruined my childhood. Taco Bell ruined my childhood when they got rid of the freaking Choco Taco.
To quote comedian Artie Lang, "Mwah!"
Pissed me off. I will give no more tries to Taco Bell. Taco Bell has ruined it for me.
Listen. There has to be some other company that makes Choco Tacos just as good, if not better, and there has to be some other company that makes Mexican pizza just as good, if not better. You have to go to find it.
Let's be clear. Taco Bell didn't make the Choco Taco. The Choco Taco is its own company, its own business. They just
so you
sold
can still
it.
forget them.
It was just a dessert taco, with ice cream taco with chocolate and nuts on top.
So
and what's great?
Because I've never heard of this Choco Taco.
What's the best
difference?
thing in the world?
But I feel like from what you've described to me, it's just a drumstick in taco shape.
No. It's like a waffle cone shell, taco shell, like a hard taco shell.
Okay.
Looks just like a hard taco. It's filled with ice cream, and then the entire crusted, ridge there is covered in chocolate and like peanuts or whatever.
So it's a drumstick. No, it's exactly what I said.
Drumstick? What are you talking about? A drumstick?
Drumsticks.
A taco. It's a freaking taco.
No. Drumsticks. They're frozen. They're
yeah.
A cone.
Very similar.
Yeah. It's the same fucking thing.
The shell's different.
Oh my god! Listen, you could get a box of drumsticks for a fraction of the cost. You could get a Choco Taco.
I've never heard those called drumsticks.
What do you call them?
I don't know. I don't really get them, so maybe that's what they're called. I don't know.
I think it's drumstick. Maybe
it very well could be.
I don't.
But this is not an equal comparison.
I think it is.
You have to go to the store, get you a chocolate. When you're in a gas station, because I guarantee they're sold everywhere, go to the little ice cream thing, open up that dough, and find that silver package of that delicious Choco Taco.
Open up that dough,
and then transport yourself into a world of bliss.
Pure imagination.
Just wait until the flavor of that scrumptious Taco hits your tongue.
This man's like
will fall in love with it.
You're like the ice cream Willy Wonka over here. It's scrumdiddlyumptious or some bullshit.
But you're gonna have to go for the rest of your life without ever having a Mexican pizza.
Well,
and I feel sorry for you.
I think we'll be fine. Listen, I've never had one before, so I think we're good. I don't know what I'm missing, I guess. But I guess
Aaron Shriver jumping in here. Did someone say Choco Taco? Yeah, Aaron. This guy over here doesn't know what a freaking Choco Taco is. And I keep telling him,
drumstick.
I was telling him that Taco Bell back in the day, at least around me, used to sell them as a dessert. So you could just get a Choco Taco when you got done. And it was the best thing ever. And then they got rid of that. I don't understand why. Here's what pisses me off. Okay? This is another thing that really pisses me off. All right? I can somewhat understand the Mexican pizza. You're going to get rid of that. You want to speed up service. Whatever. The freaking Choco Taco, dude, you didn't even make the damn thing. You just pull it out of a freezer and put it in a bag and hand it off. Why do you have to get rid of the Choco Taco? Oh, and then Aaron's going to go and rub it in. Says that his Taco Bell still sells them. Yeah, well, good for you. Good for you.
I think you need to just go buy a bunch of drumsticks. Or fuck, if you said you could still get them. Wait, but you said you can still get Choco Tacos, just not from Taco Bell. Go buy a bunch, keep them in your freezer. You have the same fucking Choco Taco you had 25 fucking years ago.
Well,
it's the same thing.
Well, that's probably the reason I still gave Taco Bell another chance. It's because I could still get it.
Listen, you're not pissed off.
I can't get it again. I'll
You're
never
not
have a
pissed
Mexican
off.
pizza again.
You're not pissed off for the right reasons, though. You should be pissed off they're getting rid of the chicken quesadilla.
I don't
You're
give a
pissed
shit
off-
about the quesadilla.
The chicken quesadilla is the only reason to go to Taco Bell.
No, it's not.
What is the okay? Besides the Mexican pizza, what is the other reason to go to Taco Bell?
Baja Blast.
That's a fucking drink. That doesn't count.
It does when it's only sold in Taco Bell.
They
I mean,
used to sell it in stores. Do they not sell it in stores anymore?
No, they do now in like bottles. You can get like individual.
Yeah, see? So fucking see, that's another thing. You can't even say that that's like a Taco Bell
Well, you
exclusive.
can't get cinnamon twists anywhere else.
I'm sure another company makes cinnamon twists probably better.
I don't think so.
And by the way, cinnamon twists aren't that good anyway.
Well, other than that, yeah, that's all Taco Bell's got. They got rid of the only thing that was really gave them, an
They
edge.
had so like we've talked about this. I've had Taco Bell like twice in my life. I know I look like I'm probably just pounding it back by the handfuls, but no. Didn't they for a while have Dorito tacos or some shit?
Yeah, and they got rid of most of those too. I think they
Oh, those
only
are
have the
ones
nacho cheese one. Yeah, that was
Well,
part
what
of
were
the
the other
menu
options?
change.
But that's a Dorito. What other options are there?
Well, they had a Cool Ranch one, they had a fiery one, and they had the nacho cheese one.
This man is a Taco Bell professional. Jesus Christ.
I freaking loved Taco Bell until now.
Loved past
Yeah,
tense.
very
Loved.
past tense. They can piss off now for all I care. I hate Taco Bell.
Heartbreaking.
It's disgusting what they've done to me.
Yes, they've broken your heart.
A couple more things before we jump off air. So for those of you who are listening, because I know there's probably not many people still on here, which is cool. We're about to end this anyway. But if you would, please go and find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, whatever like that, and drop us a review. Just tell us how bad we are in the type in there how much you hate the show, but give us 5 stars, okay? Give us 5 stars and then tell us how bad you hate us in the description of that 5 stars. And that's just so they share our podcast out there. We can get more people to listen and whatnot. So again, you guys can listen to this show as an audio version, and I do have it where you can download it through all these platforms. So if you want to, put it on your iPod, pad, pen, whatever the hell thing you have now, you can do that and listen to it. You can download it if you need to. But give us 5-star review. Tell us you hate us, and I would really appreciate that.
Folks who don't have iPhones, where can they go, Landon? Hell?
You can go everywhere. I mean, it's on Player FM. It's on Google Podcasts. Amazon hasn't rolled out their little podcast thing yet, so that's not there. But Streamcast, Castbox, Jukebox. I mean, it's anywhere you get your podcast right now. You'll be able to find the show.
Okay, so I assume Spotify's included.
Yeah,
So
Spotify.
You can review us on all of these platforms. Give us 5 stars for talking about Taco Bell, and tell us how much you hate us. Though
Right.
I'm sure Landon will read those on air at some point.
I will. And then also, Dylan, we are adding, which I've been debating since we've talked about this. I've already created a Patreon page for us. I would love to get it to a situation where this thing kind of at least pays for itself. I don't really care about making money off this, but if it would pay for itself, it would be awesome. So I did create a Patreon page for the show, but I haven't put it all together or nothing. I just kind of saved the name. But I was kind of thinking that maybe it would be more funny if we created an OnlyFans rather than a Patreon.
But here's the thing: with OnlyFans, people go there to see naked people. I'm not dropping my scrot out.
Well, that's why it would be funny.
But what are we going to
We would be using it for a completely different purpose.
I don't think you're allowed.
Oh, it's only for nudes?
I don't know for certain, but I think
I thought it was just like a knockoff Patreon.
I think that was what they wanted. Maybe someone knows more about it than me. I think that it was originally intended to be just to support your favorite creators like Patreon,
Right.
but it ended up being you pretty much only create OnlyFans to post pictures of your cock and balls or hoo-ha.
Eddie's in here telling you to get naked.
That's what he always does. Eddie's been telling me for years, "Oi, laddie, you should get naked and wear some chaps." Like, he's been saying it for years. He has this fixation with my big man titties and pasties. He wants to see me in pasties, this fucking guy. And he'll tell you too. He'll tell you. He'll comment pasties and then
He
the
said
comment.
pasties on Dillan. Let's vote.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. Oh, it's so funny. So funny.
Yeah. We need to do something, but I think Patreon's probably the best route to go. But whatever. Hopefully we can get a few people on there. I want to do like some giveaways and stuff and put those up monthly where we can give something away. I don't know. I don't know what kind of tiers we can do to really make it interesting. I think that we could do an after show, which would be kind of cool, or like we don't really prep, so we don't really do a prep show. You know what I mean? But we could do like a tier where you could, if you're in this tier, you can choose our next topic that we talk about. You could, whatever. I mean, certain things like that. We'll figure it out.
Well, that'd be a good one. Yeah, like a tier where you can suggest a show. That'd be a good tier. Right. That'd be a good $10 tier, and we'll get to it when we get to it. Depending on what we like and what we don't like.
Right.
Or like if we gave like a list of options, and they got to pay $10 and pick what out of these options, what would you guys like to hear? Yeah, we could do that. We'll have to figure it out. It's one of those things we're new to, so we'll figure it out as we get there.
All right. I got to figure out how to get this stupid chat to work better. Again, it seems like today at least we're getting all the chats from every page, but again, just not from my personal Facebook page, and I don't understand why it does that.
Did we have any feedback over there, or you don't know?
Yeah, my personal page is probably where I got the most viewers, but we had Kristen, Russ, Aaron, Taylor, everybody was commenting there, but it's not coming through on the screen. But if you're listening on the Afterlife Network, Paranormal Response Team, Exposing Reality, any of those pages, they're all showing up on the screen. For some reason, if you're watching off my personal profile, it's not. And I don't understand why. I'm going to have to contact support at this point. Because I've tried everything to fix that, and I don't know what the hell it is.
We really did troubleshoot that. All right, I guess we're winding down here, so it's time for me to say thank you.
Yeah, I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna work on that Patreon thing tonight, and I'll get with you, Dylan. Maybe
yes, sir.
Come up with some more tiers and stuff. It'd be really awesome. I think that we can get a couple people to throw some money at it. I mean, dude, the cost for this is went down. Because of different methods that we're going to be doing. Like, I know we still have this. We're still technically using this Be Live here.
Yeah.
I'm getting rid of that. We actually have a Be Live account for the network, so that anybody who has a show on the network can just use that one account. So I'm going to be canceling my account, getting that one and logging in on that one whenever we want to go live. Because all we use this Be Live for is just to hold the cameras.
Yeah.
You guys see that right there. The cameras are just on one screen and Be Live. And it's just so that we can easily put all the cameras in one place.
Makes it convenient for us, right. Yeah.
And I can just send a link to somebody if they want to get on camera or whatnot. It's just easier. But I'm really actually sending the stream out through Streamlabs, which is a whole different thing. So I'm not actually really using Be Live.
Well, we thank everybody for joining us for our first show. I don't know how many listeners stuck through or how many listeners listened to maybe the full show. But for anyone who's listening audio later or anyone who's tuning in later through any of the various sites or areas, we thank you so much. We appreciate it. And, we couldn't do this without the support of you guys and your feedback. I'd like to once again thank Eddie Hill for calling in and Aaron for, his comments and everyone else who left comments on Landon's page. We appreciate each and every one of you, and we're so happy to kind of change our show up a little bit and make it more entertaining for you guys to listen to.
Right, it's gonna be fun. We're gonna be changing shit up. Be sure to check out the Patreon when we get it. It's up there now. I think it's under Exposing Reality. You'll be able to see it there. But otherwise, we will be back hopefully soon, Dylan. I've got this weekend. I've got a couple days where I don't have my little one, and I have nothing to do. I'm off work for a week because I'm supposed to be in Bel Air right now. You know how that worked out. Damn it! All right, guys. We'll catch you later, Dylan. Great show. Good job. An hour. Only an hour of research. And he pulled it off. I don't know how he does it. I gotta get some music too. Whatever. I'll see you later, Dylan.
There's nothing better than me.